To the WNBA, most recognizable names Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham are reportedly out leaving, walking away, and while the lead may be trying to slap a PR band-aid on his open wound, let's be honest, the WNBA is bleeding, and everyone can see this isn't just a roster move, is not a free agency shuffle, is not business as usual. It's a crisis, and it didn't start today. It started the moment the lead decided to bid everything on a single star and forgot to build a stable enough foundation to support her. If you're here for the real story and not filtered version, subscribe. If you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe. Let's rewind just a bit, because for months the WNBA was on top of the world, or at least that's what it looked like on the surface. Headlines everywhere, arena sellouts, massive viewership bumps. And at the center of it all, Caitlin Clark, the golden goose, the savior, the walking highlight reel, who is usher in a brand new era for women's basketball. And to be fair, she did deliver. She delivered. Big ticket sales skyrocketed, broadcast ratings wrecked, your breaking sponsorship interest surging. But then one injury, one completely avoidable injury, if you as a growing number of angry fans and insiders, and suddenly the house of cards came crashing down. Clark missed key games, including crucially the All-Star game, and that when the wheels fell off ticket prices, the event dropped nearly 50% overnight. Arena energy gone, sponsors, nervous viewers, switch channels. The truth was laid bare. The WNBA, as it currently stands, is built on a business model as fragile as a glass ankle. And when the one player holding it all together goes down, so does everything else. But wasn't as Clark's absence that sent shockwaves through the lead. It was a reaction, or really the lack of one, that truly exposed rotted core fans waiting for updates, for reassurances, for anything that sounded like the lead taking care of the biggest star. Instead, crickets. No transparency about her condition, no visible support, no strong statement from leadership about improving player safety, just vague platitudes and almost eerie silence. And then came the whispers. Europe, and leave were circling like sharks smelling blood in the water. Overseas teams reportedly began aggressively reaching out, not just the Clark, but other frustrated WNBA players, one of the loudest among them Sophie Cunningham. Now Sophie's no stranger to the league. She's gritty, vocal, marketable. He plays with chip on his shoulder and a fire that fans love. But she's also been vocal about her dissatisfaction, about how the lead treats his players, about compensation, about how women athletes deserve better, and now she's out following the same path many others have walked before her, except this time the timing couldn't be worse, because now the narrative has changed. This isn't about a few friends players chasing off-season cash overseas. This is about core talent leaving in season because they don't feel protected, valued, or heard, and suddenly the WNBA is in a full-blown existential crisis. Let's break it down. You've got your biggest are injured, your most outspoken veterans leaving, a collective bargaining agreement hanging by a thread, and entire fan bases openly wonder if the league is even worth supporting anymore. And European leagues, they're not just offer more money, they're offering respect, world class, Hillary's real medical teams, job security, and the kicker, they actually listen to their athletes. Meanwhile, in the WNBA, players are taking charter flights because Clark's presence made it possible. They're working side hustle during the off-season. They're recovering from injuries without proper resources. And they're supposed to smile and carry on. No wonder they're walking. And if the league does wake up fast, that walk, or become a stampede. Let's talk about that CBA for a second. The collective bargaining agreement has always been a powder keg, but right now it's ready to explode. Players were more than just better pay. They want dignity, they want medical security, they want control over their careers. And they're not asking anymore, they're demanding. The message is loud and clear: treat us high professionals, or we'll go where we are. What's worse, the WNBA has had years to get ahead of this. They've known the system was answers. Annabelle, they knew that depending on one or two stars was a disaster waiting to happen, but instead of building up the rest of the roster, both figuratively and literally, they doubled down on hype. They slapped Caitlin Clark's face on every promo booked for every interview and crossed their fingers as she carried a lead to salvation. And when she got hurt, everything unraveled. So now you got angry fans, disillusioned players, and international competition rate. Swoop in and take everything the WNBA thought it had on lock. You can already feel the energy shifting. Social media is flooded with posts like, "Why is Caitlin even staying in the WNBA?" or "Sophie made the right move." And the sad truth is they're right. Why would a top-tier player stay in a league that doesn't protect them, that treat them like a marketing tool, rather than a human being that can even guarantee basic medical protocols? At this point, staying almost feels like a risk. And that's the league's biggest problem, is no law. Hunger, just about compensation. It's about confidence. Players are losing faith, and faith once gone is hard to win back. You know what's even worse? The league's leadership is still playing defense, acting like this is just abandon the road. That's not just delusional. It's dangerous because you don't solve a mass exodus with silence and spin. You saw with reform urgent top down. No excuses. Reform, better pay, better care, better structure. And yes, better marketing, not for one player, but for the entire league. Because a system that relies on one person to hold it all together, that's not a league, that's a ticking time bomb. So what now? If the WNBA want to survive, it needs to evolve fast. Because this isn't just a momentary setback. This is a turning point. Either they make bold player first move right now, or they watch the town vanish. It's not enough to hope Clark return. And healthy is not enough to guilt Sophie or others into disdain. You have to earn their loyalty. You have to deserve it. Because right now the WNBA feels less like a professional sports league and more like a cautionary tale and bad business strategy. And here's the part no one wants to say out loud. If Caitlin Clark actually is WNBA, aware that temporarily or permanently it might not recover, at least not in the way people hope, her absence exposed just how the lead infrastructure really is. It showed us that the foundation isn't strong. They're behind the flashy promos and new TV deals. They're still league struggling to worth own future. And if Clark leaves and finds success overseas, if she thrives in Europe or Australia or wherever she decides to go next, that's a game over, because every young player watching her will realize the same thing: they don't need the WNBA. And when that truth becomes widespread, a league's not just fighting a crisis, it's fighting for its life. So what's the moral here? Don't build your empire on one person back and call a dynasty. Don't ignore your players' concerns and expect loyalty. Don't market yourself as progressive while ignoring basic player safety, because the world is watching, the fans are watching, and most importantly, the players have options. This is in 2005. This isn't a world where the WNBA is the only show in town. If the league won't evolve, it will be replaced, period. And honestly, at this point, maybe it should be. Because players deserve better, fans deserve better, women's basketball deserve better. And if that future does include the WNBA, well, that's a choice league made all on its own. Now it's your turn, because we need to hear from you. Do you think Caitlin Clark should leave for good? Was Sophie Cunningham smart to get out early and kinda WNBA recover from this? Or is already too late? Drop your thoughts in the comments, like if retire seeing top town mistreated, and subscribe if you live the truth. The headlines won't say out loud the story isn't over, but the next chapter that depends on whether anyone in charge is finally ready to listen. Caitlin Clark might not come back. Sophie Cunningham won't be the last, and the WNBA, it's not just in trouble, it's Danny, the edge of a cliff, looking down, wondering if anyone's got a parachute. Let's be very real here. This is not just about the players making personal career decisions. This is about a system that failed to evolve, a league that finally got where always said it wanted attention, buzz, fans, investment, and in completely a bag when it came protecting what made that attention possible. Because it wasn't just about Caitlin, the injury. What that injury exposed, that there's no depth in the business model, that there's no backup plan, that if one star goes down, the whole show starts to feel a little empty. And that's not on the players, that's on the league. You cannot build an entire marketing machine around a single woman act like she's a phase of French. Guys use her for every campaign, every highlight reel, every interview, and then leave her hanging when she gets injured. You cannot expect loyalty from players while offering them scraps in return. And now the chickens have come home to roost, because overseas they're watching this mess and four-legged recruiting fare. European teams, Australian clubs, even leagues in Asia, they are ready. They're sending contracts. They're offering six-figure deals, private healthcare, housing, travel, respect, and most importantly, security. Imagine being Caitlin Clark or Sophie. Or anyone in that locker room right now. You're sitting there icing a swollen knee hearing management talk about long-term vision while your aide and phone is lighting up with offer from teams that not only pay more but treat you like a star. And here's the part that really stings: for all the talk about grow in the game, the WNBA is seen terrified of letting any one player grow to big. Remember when Clark first and lead the excitement, the hype, the ticket sales of the roof. And then the weird tone from league veterans, the cold shoulders, that she hasn't earned it yet attitude, the rookie hazing that felt more personal and professional at first. It just seemed like competitiveness, standard stuff. But over time, it started to feel like resentment. And now we're injured, and the entire financial ecosystem wobble. Without her, that resentment is suddenly very, very visible. The league want her to be the savior, but not too popular. They want to bring fans, but not make anyone else feel overshadowed. They wanted to carry the league's future without being given the tools or treatment she needs. Drive. It's the worst kind of contradiction, and it's not just about Clark anymore. This is systemic. This is what happens when her infrastructure is built on vibes instead of vision, when your business model depends more on one person's needs and unreal sustainable strategy. So what happens if Clark does leave? Let's play it out. Let's say she takes an offer from a European powerhouse, one that pays or triple, gives her medical staff, internet visibility, and let's play the kind of game she wants to play. And let's say Sophie Cunningham thrives over there, to new audience, less wear and tear, more respect. Maybe she goes viral, not because of a petty ref call or foul that never got whistled, but because she's actually balling out. What message does that send? It tells every young hooper coming up that the WNBA might not be the dream anymore, that the league you grow up watching and highlight clips is maybe not the place where you'll be valued. They're being drafted into the W feels more like a step sideways than a step forward, and that is devastating because if the WNBA loses the dream factor, if it loses the aspiration, then it loses everything. You can build a future on second choices. And let's not pretend this is all about money. Either sure, compensation matters, but for many players, it's a principle. It's knowing that if something goes wrong, some will have your back. It's knowing that if you give your body to the game, the league won't treat you like a malfunctioning part in a marketing machine. But right now, it's giving disposable. Clark gets hurt, and suddenly, the league acts like it's inconvenient, like the butt she created was a problem to solve, not a gift. And nurture and fan noticed. Oh, they notice. You can scroll Twitter, Reddit, YouTube comments, whatever your poison is, and you'll see the same sentiment echoed again. If this is how they treat their biggest star, what hope does anyone else have? And here's the real kicker: the WNBA didn't just lose control. The narrative, they never had it to begin with. They let it be shy. By silence, by confusion, by angry tweets and rumors and whispers. They didn't step in with transparency. They didn't offend their players, didn't get ahead of the story. They just hoped the momentum would magically continue without any real support behind it. But momentum without maintenance, that's just inertia. And inertia dies. We're watching it happen now in real time. So what's next? Honestly, it's hard to say if the league doesn't come out swinging publicly and urgently with sweeping reform, player protections, transparent injury protocols, and real investment in talent retention. Is over, not today, not tomorrow, but the damage will be done. The illusion will be shattered, and exodus won't stop. Caitlin Clark's departure would be a seismic shift. Sophie Cunningham's exit is a warning shot, and behind them a whole locker room full of women wondering if their neck. And maybe the worst part, the WNBA could have prevented this. They could have used Clark's arrival to build infrastructure, not just buzz. They could have prioritized player welfare instead of leaning on old-school toughness and vague welcome the pros' energy. They could unify old guard, the new blood into a real, feel powerful force. Instead, they let ego mismanagement and outdated thinking run the show. And now the players are leaving, the fans are questioning, and the league is scrambling to figure out what went wrong when the answers were right there all along. So here we are, the WNBA is officially in crisis mode. Its most bankable star is at a crossroads. Its veterans are gone or going, and the world is watching to see if this league finally act or just implode under its own short-sightedness. You know what a sad part is? This was so avoidable. All it took was treating players like people, like professionals, like partners in the league's success. But that chance may have passed, and if Caitlin and Sophie are gone for good, they're not just leaving a league, they're leaving a message: treat us right, or we'll find someone who will. If Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham are really walking away from the WNBA, whether for now for next season, or forever, then we have a talk about what that means, not just for them, but for everyone else in the building. Because when stars exit, they don't leave quietly, they leave a crater, and what's left behind, a league scrambling to fill it with half-baked marketing plans, overworked rookies, and panic mode press releases try and convince us that everything's fine. Fine news flash: everything is not fine. We are watching in real time as a WNBA, a fragile little ecosystem, crumbled under the weight of its own bad decisions. It's like watching someone build a Jenga tower with one hand while swatting away smoke alarms with the other. They were handed gold, and they tried to control it instead, a bill with it. Let's talk about Caitlin for a minute, because this isn't just a girl who plays ball well. This is a cultural phenomenon, a ratings machine, an icon in the making, the kind of once-in-a-generation town that sells jerseys in cities she hasn't even played in yet. She should be the blueprint, the league's how we grow the brand masterclass. But instead, she became a cautionary tale from the moment she stepped on the court. It was like the lead didn't know what to do with her. There was excitement, sure, but also resistance. The "she hasn't earned it" crowd got loud. The "she's just hype" whisper floated. And the officiating, don't even get me started. If you're building a business around star, the absolute bare minimum is making sure she can, stay on the court. But no. She's getting hammered game after game, no whistles, no support, no protection. And now, she's injured, sitting out, watching the league ratings nosedive like an investment in my space. And Sophie, let's not forget a role in all this. She's not just some footnote Caitlin story. She's a veteran, a personality, someone who stuck it out, done the grind, seen behind the curtain. And she's leaving. That's not a coincidence. That's a signal. When your veterans and your rookies are both bailing, that's not a generational gap. That's a systemic failure. And worst part is the WNBA knew the storm was coming. They knew the CBA with math. They knew players were frustrated. They knew international leagues were circling. But instead of fixing the foundation, they slapped Caitlin Clark on a roof and hoped no one would notice the walls were made of tissue paper. It's giving all sizzle, no steak. It's giving poster child, not partner. And now the stars are gone or going, and the league is staring into a vacuum of its own making. What are you market now? Who sells tickets? Who keep the lights on when the biggest names start building their careers somewhere else? Because here's the uncomfortable truth. The fans didn't show up for the WNBA. They showed up for Caitlin, for Sophie, for the people who make the game magnetic. And without them, well, now the lights are a little dimmer, the arena's a little quieter, the interest fading. Now imagine being a young baller watching all this play out. You've dreamed your whole life of making it to the WNBA. You've trained, sacrificed. Visualize a moment. And then you see this: players overworked, underpaid, ignored. When injured, toss aside. When they speak up, your idols aren't thriving, they're leaving. What? This does that send? Because here's the real damage. It's not just financial, it's not just bad press, it's cultural. The WNBA is eroding its own legacy by showing up and coming talent. That this is how the story ends, that after all the highlight reels and fanfare have broken, benched, and forgotten that your values, conditional good only as long as you're scoring, selling out arenas, and staying silent. Let's be absolutely clear, this isn't a town problem, this isn't a marketing problem, this is a leadership problem. And they don't change course fast. This won't be a player exodus, it'll be a fan exodus. A sponsor exodus, a relevant exodus, because you can only gaslight people for so long before they pack up and leave any international leagues. Oh, they're already rolling out the red carpet. They got salary facilities, recovery teams, full-time medical staff. They don't just treat players like athletes, they treat them like investments. Meanwhile, here in the W, we're still fighting over charter flights and rehab timelines like hello. It's 2025, why are we still debating if women athletes deserve basic human decency? The future this league is hanging by a thread, and the people in charge are out here playing PR gymnastics instead of fixing the actual problems. News flash: a flashy Instagram post won't keep player from boarding a flight Barcelona or his damn ball. So here we are, one generation, leaving one generation questioning whether they should even start, and league still pretending it's business as usual. If you're the WNBA, now's the time to decide, or you be a serious sports league, or just a cautionary tale to old, and he has documentaries 10 years from now, because right now the legacy of women's basketball is being outsourced, not just to Europe, but the people care more about their athletes.